What's up, fam? I'm Elias, you're watching Fireforge Gaming, and I'm likely going to piss people off with this review. And I'm comfortable with that because this is a discussion that is already proven to be polarizing and controversial. So I'm going to start this review with the only part of the game that I think most people are going to play anyway. Modern Warfare multiplayer is, in theory and in practice, a prime example of COD multiplayer. There are some iterative changes to the skin, but it's got the same meat and bones the franchise has had for the last decade. Level design is uninspired and formulaic, featuring a host of maps with the exact same design, which is the 3-lane maps with one on either side and then a wider one in the middle. Just like the last 10 years of COD. It's a cynical formula for competitive TDM gameplay that they perfected 10 years ago and just never changed. There is, however, the addition of more verticality options, and that makes the map experience a bit more fresh, just not enough to make it feel like a game you haven't already played before. One of the most subtle yet impactful changes to gameplay is the feel of movement and how it affects competitive play. This is going to be where a bit of my own opinions come in. Moving through the map feels weighty and heavy, sprinting doesn't double your speed, and jumping around corners to avoid enemy fire is more likely to get you killed than not. This is a direct contrast to previous titles where movement was purposefully floaty and sprint speeds were, without a doubt, stupidly enhanced in an effort to artificially create a competitive environment. As it is, Modern Warfare doesn't reward the run-and-gun playstyle as much, forcing players to make more tactical decisions and claim power positions in order to be successful. So in my opinion, this is a welcome change, and it makes the COD experience far less stale. The new movement speeds complement objective gameplay fairly well, and it's unfortunate then that there are so few objective modes. There's ground war, search and destroy, and domination, and that's really about it. Whereas there's like 5 or 8 TDM variants, and they don't seem to benefit very much from the changes that have been made to the gameplay formula. With the game mode Ground War, they took inspiration directly from Battlefield. Now, is that a bad thing? No. They get to create a huge map with high vertical options and vehicles and throw people into a minimally structured conquest mode. And it's fun, but just like all the other gameplay innovations Call of Duty lifted from other franchises, they can't really implement it very well, or to its full potential. The maps are big, but they aren't complex. They feel a bit like scaled up versions of the standard COD map, which are designed to be as simple as possible. It lacks a lot of the complexity that should come from a big team battle mode. And I can't help but wonder if it's because Infinity Ward or someone at Activision pushed an esports mindset into the development of this mode. The Ground War game mode is still fun, but coming off of playing Battlefield, where the mode is much better implemented, it just feels incomplete. One thing I do want to say about Modern Warfare is it is a loud-ass game. Everything is loud. The kill streaks, gunfire, the explosions, all of it. And the sound design is actually really good. Everything from footsteps to gunshots has a quality of weight and impact that goes a long way to immersing the player. It's probably my highest praise of COD Modern Warfare, and it's easily one of my favorite aspects of this game. Now we get into some of the controversy. There's been a lot of discussion about the use of certain weapons in COD multiplayer, like white phosphorus. White phosphorus is a pyrophoric substance that ignites itself as it comes into contact with air. Its military uses include smoke production, artillery, and anti-personnel munitions. It can ignite human skin and effectively melt it away. And because of this, white phosphorus is a powerful psychological weapon as well. The controversy comes from the player's ability to use this weapon against other players. White phosphorus is a horrific and vastly destructive weapon. You know what else is a horrific and vastly destructive weapon? A gun! The game is about using weapons to kill opponents, and some of those weapons are more destructive than others. And some of them are more destructive than white phosphorus. I've been riddled with bullets, doused in chlorine gas, and blown up. In one of my first matches, someone on my team dropped a nuke on my head. Wiped out the entire lobby, friend and foe alike, just to win the match. So why is white phosphorus the target of so much non-gamer ire? when there are literal nuclear devices at play. The only thing I can think of is that certain groups that mistakenly believe that video games cause violence are desperate for new information that validates their point of view. But applying political controversy to this game for its multiplayer gameplay is both stupid and disingenuous. I would love to dismiss it outright and not even waste my time talking about it. But we're at the point in our history where you simply do not have the right to be stupid. The sub-intelligent people that hold these unfounded and unverifiable beliefs need to be engaged on their shaky moral high ground and rolled off that hill en masse. I firmly believe that our society as a whole depends on this action. The sub-intelligent cannot be allowed to influence our society in any way, be it video games or politics. Now it's time to talk about the story mode, which, as a fan of storytelling, and the original Modern Warfare game's story modes, I was actually looking forward to. I thought it would be better than the previous title's attempts to tell a story. But unfortunately, the actual narrative of the single-player campaign was pretty disappointing. Maybe not to the majority of die-hard COD players who likely won't even touch the single player. But remember, whole elements of Modern Warfare's pre-release press and promotion were predicated on the claim that playing the game made their playtesters cry. The YouTuber Drifter tweeted out that it makes Modern Warfare 2's No Russian look like a Pixar film, which I guess is an allusion to the realism and emotional depth of their narrative. So you would expect the campaign to be worth something, and it's really not. It's a 4-hour campaign, 3 if you kind of rush it like I did. There's not really a narrative to speak of at all. There's little in the way of a narrative arc or any sort of character development. The dialogue is awful. It's terrible. It's campy, and it has a pseudo-macho quality that comes off like the person talking is aware of how terrible it is. The storytelling lacks any sort of focus, and it's hard to follow sequences of events because they're just so poorly defined. What I was impressed with was a certain amount of surface level emotion that was carried by some of the events in the single player campaign. Half of the game is about fighting terrorists, and terrorists live in countries that they attack. The other half is about fighting against foreign oppression, and constantly walking the line between freedom fighter and terrorist. You can see what they were going for, and if they had a single adult writing for them, they might have been able to pull it off. The relationship between creating terror and fighting for freedom is very, very close. And that closeness brings with it certain scenes of military violence and counterterrorism activity that can be emotionally jarring. There are scenes where there are civilians in harm's way, and you have to watch your shots to avoid hitting them when you're gunning for the enemy. And sometimes, the civilians are enemies in disguise, and you don't know until they pull a gun on you. There are moments when you're watching your allies as they have to choose between completing their mission or saving their friends and family, and the choice that would tear anybody else up inside isn't even a choice to them, it's just reality. There's a sequence where you're busting up a terrorist cell in a townhouse complex, and not everyone in the house is a terrorist. And you have to sort it out in the moment, and if you take too long, it could cost you your life, but if you act too quickly, you break the rules of engagement, and you could kill an innocent person. And it's dark, it's a high-stress situation, and it's emotionally charged, and I have to give them credit for that. But again, all of that is only surface level. It doesn't build to anything, and the scenes are immediately replaced with meaningless action as quickly as they came. This is where I'm going to lose people, because I'm going to start talking about something that most people consider to be political, even though it's not. It's really not. This is where the story was a disappointment for me. Remember that key elements of COD's marketing had to do with the campaign and how realistically and emotionally it portrayed the choices made and actions taken in combat situations and counterterrorism operations. What COD had a chance to do here was show the complexity of modern war and terrorism, and not just the spectacle, and they failed to do that. I keep saying that video games are an art form, and they should be elevated in their content. The Joker is a movie that takes a long, hard look at how mental illness is treated in modern society, and uses that as a driving theme to tell its story. Modern Warfare had the chance to put on display the complex realities of dealing with terrorism, and how that changes a person, and a people, and a nation. But y'all ain't ready to talk about that yet, so what did we get instead? Shitty multiple choice dialogue options that make no difference to the plot of the story. Retarded self-sacrifice scenes that hold no meaning and were wasted in their entirety. And what should have been a horrifying torture experience boiled down to a meaningless bullshit minigame. This is not elevating games to an art form, it's disappointing. So here's the TLDR. Call of Duty Modern Warfare is, in essence, a Call of Duty game. If you liked the last 10 years of COD games, you're gonna like this one. If you were hoping this game would bring something new or innovative to the franchise, you're gonna be disappointed. While Modern Warfare does make some changes to its gameplay, the changes are more often than not poorly implemented and unbalanced, and they do little to change the gameplay for the better. The single player is a shallow experience with just enough emotional content to feel like it's not a total waste. And there's also a co-op mode that I tried and it sucks and it's not even worth getting into. It was clearly an afterthought that nobody cared about, and so I don't care about it. In my opinion, Modern Warfare isn't a game that's worth the price. Only about half of the game is consistently entertaining, and I found the other half supremely disappointing. What's up guys, thank you all for watching, we really appreciate it. If you want to see more content from our members, you can check out their personal channels on YouTube. JB does gameplay videos and original music, and Lance does Let's Plays and game reviews. So you can check out their channels, and if you're trying to get a hold of me, you can find me on PlayStation, or you can email me. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!